Hello everyone, this is a tutorial on how to add sounds to a DDA soundpack. And the first thing that you need to do, this is a prerequisite, you need to set up your GitHub account. And if you don't know how to use GitHub, the first thing that you need to do is to go to github.com and you create your account. And after you have created your account, you need to go to the repository of the soundpack that you want to contribute for. And I want to contribute for the DDA soundpacks repository, which is housing the CC Sounds soundpack. I need to fork. So here in the top right corner, there should be a button for to fork the repository. And I have already forked this repository. So if we check my account, I have my repositories here, DDA soundpacks. This is my fork of the original DDA soundpacks repository. After I fork it, I recommend that you install GitHub Desktop. You should install it and you should log into your GitHub account in here. And after you have logged in, you should be able to click here to add and clone a repository. And your repositories are going to appear here. For example, this is DDA soundpacks, which I have already cloned into my computer. The next step for us is going to be to get a sound. We are going to get a sound. The website that I recommend you using is freesound. freesound.org. freesound.org is a website in which there are various sound effects that are licensed under either CC0 or CC BY or CC BY non-commercial. And I'm going to explain what those are in the crediting section, but I need to figure out a sound that I want to add. So something that I was doing before is adding sound to vehicles. And however, I need to add a sound to car horns. And to do that, I need to figure out the ID of the car horn. So if I go here in the Cataclysm DDA repository, there is a file called soundpacks.md, and this contains a lot of useful information for someone that wants to contribute to soundpacks. So what I'm looking for is the car horn. And here under the vehicle category, we can see here vehicle horn medium, I believe should be the one for normal cars. Now let's look up car horn sounds here in freesound.org. Car horn, actually. How about this one? Okay, so I like this sound and I'm going to be downloading it. You should not just download and close this tab. You should leave this tab in the background because we are going to be going back here to get the link to this sound file, and we need to have the name of the author, and we need to know later the license, what is licensed under. So I'm going to be downloading this sound, and you can place it wherever. Okay, so we got the sound. That step was done. We got the sound. So now we need to edit the sound, and there are some requirements or some suggestions if you're not contributing to CC Sounds for making your own soundpack. Here are some suggestions. Okay, so I suggest that you can use any software for editing, for sound editing, but I recommend using Audacity. What I want to do here is I want to turn this sound effect into a mono sound effect because the game is going to be handling the direction of where it comes from. And some sounds are better to leave it as stereo. So if it comes from the player's perspective, from the player's point of view, I recommend leaving that on stereo. So one thing that I'm going to do here is tracks, mix stereo down to mono. Yes. And this should also help trimming down the size of this particular file when it is exported. Another thing that it is important to do is to make the sound effects start immediately. Now to do that, you just need to select the silent portion of it and delete it. And another thing that I recommend doing is defining a volume level that is to be the standard for your sound effect. So for CC sounds, I am doing effect normalize at peak amplitude to -1. Okay, let's go ahead and let's export this as OGG. But if you're making your own sound pack, I also recommend it you're doing it as OGG because it is a sound file that is not very heavy. And you can save this also anywhere. And I'm going to save this. The next thing that we need to do is to insert the sound and JSON it. Now here in your GitHub desktop screen or wherever else, if you're not using GitHub desktop, you need to make a new branch. Now let's make a new branch here for the CDDA soundpacks repository. Let's make a new branch based on upstream/main, and we are going to be calling it the car horn branch. You can name it whatever. And this is our new branch. We can go ahead and publish it. Having created the branch, you need to figure out where your GitHub folders are located. Now, an easy way to do that is to click in the history tab here, and you see the changes that have been made to the repository. And by right-clicking to a file like this, you are able to show it in Explorer, and this will take you to where GitHub has set up the folders for the repository. I already know where my GitHub folders are, so this is where it is located. And the repository that I want to edit is CDDA soundpacks. Sound, and then the folder, this folder right here should be named whatever soundpack it is you are contributing for. So this is CC Sound. And at this point, the way that the folders are organized is entirely up to the maintainers of the soundpack. And for CC Sounds, what we have is, for every sound ID, we have a folder here. And what is a sound ID? If we go to soundpacks.md in the CDDA repository, we should see that the sound effects, they have a sound ID, which is the first thing that appears here, and a variant. Having figured out the ID, we can see that there's already a folder for the vehicle sound ID. So we click that, and we should now make a folder for the horn medium variant. And having created this folder, we should just copy over the horn medium sound effect into it, and you should already see that changes have been made to this branch. Your current branch, car horn, has the new file that you have added, but you have only added the sound effect. Now you need to JSON it. You need a JSON file setting up the sound ID and variant to use the sound file that you have created. And to do that, you can take another JSON. So the formatting is already done here. Just need to change like what is written in it. So and I like naming, you also name the JSON whatever. I like naming it the variant, the sound variant. Now by opening this JSON here, we can see that the ID is vehicle. Now to figure out what you should write here, I recommend you reading soundpacks.md here. The first thing that appears is the sound ID, so that's vehicle. And the variant is horn medium. Now the volume, you need to test in-game to see if you want to lower the volume or not. So for the car alarm, the volume was set to 60. That means it's 60% as loud as it was. So just for testing purposes, I am going to be doing 50. And if it's too little or too much, I'm going to be editing this value later. Now, files, you should write the entire path, the sound effect that you have created. So after the folder of the soundpack, it's vehicle horn medium. It's supposed to be vehicle horn medium, and the sound effect is named horn medium.ogg. So let's go ahead and save this file, and we have inserted it to the game. However, we are not done yet. Now the final step of actually inserting the files to the repository is crediting, and crediting is necessary for most sounds that you are going to be using. And even for CC0, which require no attribution, we want even the CC0 sounds to have attributions, because that way we can confirm that they are in fact CC0, right? Does that make sense? Here's a vehicle horn medium, and I'm going to be pasting credits.md there, and we're going to be editing that. And we need to change a few things here. So the name of the file is hornmedium.ogg. And the author, we need to come back to the website that we have acquired the sound effect. And this is the name of the author. We replace that with this. And the license here is either going to be CC0 or CC BY or CC BY NC. CC BY requires you to attribute the author. CC BY NC requires you to attribute the author, and it cannot be used in a commercial project. Now, Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead is not a commercial project, so you can use CC BY NC resources in it. And okay, so having confirmed that it is CC BY NC, non-commercial, we need to change this license to CC BY NC. And we also need to link we also need to add a link to the sound effect in freesound.org. Having done that, the crediting process is complete. We just save this file, and we are done here. Now we need to actually test the sound effect in the game. And to do that, it's very simple. It's not like tile sets that you need to actually compose the tile set. You go to your GitHub folder here, the repository, and you get the CC Sounds soundpack, and you go to wherever your soundpack files are located in your CDDA folder, the game, which should be CDDA data sound. And well, I can delete that because I'm going to be pasting it again. You paste the soundpack in here. And okay, having done that, we need to boot up the game. And we load whatever word that you are going to be testing this sound effect in. So we are going to be spawning a car here so I can test the car horn sound. Spawn a vehicle, car, undamaged. Okay, so I'm going to be turning on the car, and I'm going to be honking the horn. And there we have it. The sound effect is working. And I think that the volume for it is appropriate. Okay, so seeing that the sound effect is working, we can keep working on this branch, and we could add sounds for every single car horn out there, even the bicycle chimes. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be creating a pull request as is. So this is car horn. So I'm going to commit these changes. I'm going to push origin. And I'm going to recreate a pull request. Now this will take me to the GitHub website. And I can write my pull request here. And depending on the repository, there are certain rules on how you should write your pull request. For CC Sounds, currently there is none. So you can just name this car horn. And the description, it's important that you let the maintainers know what exactly you are adding to the soundpack. Now we just create a pull request. And the maintainers are eventually going to see this pull request, and they are going to be merging, or they are going to be asking you to change some things about your pull request. I hope that was a clear explanation on how to add sounds to a sound pack. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, or contact me in my Discord. I'm going to be leaving that information down below.